we're live, Zubz. What's that shirt behind over there? What is that?
It's always been there. It's
That's never been there. It's literally this. You said you're gonna go and just clean up, and then all of a sudden I see that shirt pointed over there. How are you doing?
Whilst I was cleaning up, I managed to dust out the. This was when I was coaching a football team. The ones that used to be on steroids.
The kids on steroids, right?
Yeah. We went unbeaten our first season, and that's the kit from our first season.
To be fair, the reason I thought you guys were on steroids was because your kids were scoring 24-1.
Come on, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't. It was about 20-1.
So how was that experience like with coaching?
Coaching was good. The reason why I actually, and it's kind of the theme that I have, where I try to give back with the little skills or the knowledge that I have. I try to do what I can to give back, and I've always grown up loving football. Yeah, and it got to a point where I couldn't really. Well, I still can't play that well, but I thought at least I can give back something in terms of how to play football.
Fair enough.
I watch football matches as well, so I thought let me just see if I can try to live a bit of the dream of what's it like to be a coach and build a team, and that's essentially what it is. Took them from they were 9 years old up to they were 15, and that's when I stopped coaching.
I can respect that. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. I'd like to officially welcome you to the first ever online Coffee Pump podcast. I mean,
but hold on. This is take 2, isn't it?
Oh yeah, take 2.
I don't think your viewers know that. Yeah, when I was in Kenya last summer, we tried to do this in person.
Fair enough. Yeah. Actually, we tried, and unfortunately, I think there was a mess up. There was a hiccup or something. But anyway, back like we never left.
But I think it's worked out though, because I've become your first international guest. So
exactly.
Thank you for having me on. Yeah.
The plan was to get Zubair, and then the next one was 50 Cent. So it's progress, right?
Start from the bottom, isn't it? Then go to the top, isn't it? So it's good.
So before we get carried away, I just wanted to read your LinkedIn page, all right? There's a bit of ass kissing going to happen over here, but you started off as a junior systems engineer at British Aerospace Engineering. And then you went to systems engineer. Then you went to a combat systems engineer for the Naval Design Partnership. And then you went into the business development on the UK Naval Command Information Systems. Again, combat systems engineer, combat systems integration engineer at BAE Systems. Then you joined one of my favorite companies, Jaguar Land Rover, JLR, as they put it. You started as a project engineer, and then you got promoted, change management, international manufacturing operations, again, project engineer. And then you became project lead, assisted and automated driving. That's AI shit, man. Technical project management and delivery. Then you became the product owner of the assisted and automated driving line. And now you're the product manager at the assisted and automated driving. PSPO certified. What does that stand for?
So firstly, you made my career sound a lot more exciting than it has been.
Bro, you work at Jaguar. That's amazing.
It's a fantastic brand too, and I think that's one of the reasons why I moved to JLR was because of the product. And it's definitely something that you see on the road. People aspire to driving those cars, but to be on the engineering side of it. Yeah. And also, when I joined JLR, I was on the launch side. So one of the things that you read was the international kind of launch role I did. So I was in Austria, and that was an experience in itself. But then, moving fast forward to where I am today, as a product owner or product manager, PSPO is a qualification that kind of gives you some kind of credibility that you know what you're doing.
Okay.
So it was like a 2-day course, and then you do an exam at the end of it.
Fair enough.
But that's basically as you get your chartered management or that kind of stuff. So this is PSPO is kind of on the road to that.
But what's your background like in order to go into combat systems engineering? What did you study in uni?
Yeah, so I did systems engineering, which at the time a lot of people hadn't heard of, and probably now people haven't heard of. Essentially, exactly. Yeah.
So what is electric engineering, mechanical engineering, systems engineering?
It's everything really. So when I was at college, I knew I wanted to do engineering.
Yeah.
So let's say from growing up, essentially, I've always had an interest in problem solving or taking things apart, putting them together. So I always knew I wanted to go into some kind of an engineering field. But
Right.
when I was at college, I could not decide what it is that actually I wanted to do. And then I came across this systems engineering, which is essentially holistic engineering. And
Right.
this is where you take different facets of all the different types. So electrical engineering, mechanical,
Okay.
aeronautical, but then there's also project management part of it as well. And that's where you are seeing something end to end.
Okay.
So rather than being a specialist in one type of engineering, you're more kind of a generalist in different types of engineering. But what you specialize in is actually being able to oversee everything like a project from start
Okay.
to finish.
Okay. What's happening, family? We've got another sponsor, Fit Supplements. Let's hear it out for them. We've got the whey protein, 24 grams of protein per serving. I love the strawberry flavor. We've got the pancake mix, quick and easy. Use it with water, use it with milk. Fantastic. Creatine, I use 5 grams a day. And fat burner. They have a lot more. They've got a muscle gainer. They've got a pre-workout. They've got shakers. Do check them out. They've shown us some love. I want you guys to show them some love. Fit Supplements. Guys, you know I love coffee a lot. I literally named my podcast the Coffee Pump Podcast. So with a caffeinated podcast, you need a caffeinated partner. And I'm happy to say that Connect Coffee has come on board as the official sponsor on the Coffee Pump Podcast. This is everything they have. My personal favorite is the Romeo blend. I first had this in 2016. Actually had my first business meeting at the Chiromo campus where we're shooting at today. They've shown us love. I'd like for you to show them some love as well. We'll link everything in the description of the video. Do check them out. Best coffee in Kenya, hands down. One thing, when we first met, when you came to Nairobi, it was like in the 2000s, man, and we connected. You always, I think you're Sungura. They refer to you as Sungura because
What's Sungura? What is that?
Sungura is like a rabbit, jumping from one place to another. you never sit down. Like Dad used to be called Sungura. And while you were doing this, there was actually, I'm not sure if you remember, a few cousins of ours who were based out in Portsmouth Uni, and they were like, there's a shisha supplier over here. We run shisha from him, and that turns out that you actually launched one of the biggest shisha renting businesses in the UK.
Again, you make it sound more exciting. We got quite big.
I know for a fact that you were one of the first people to launch a shisha business, and it became huge in the UK.
Yeah, I think with that, it was more of a. So I think one thing about me is I like to take action. So if I see something, and it's something that I want to do or change or something, I won't just talk about it. I'll try to do some kind of action behind it if I can.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of the things that you kind of control what you can.
Yeah.
And when I went to Portsmouth, so this was in my graduate scheme, I moved to Portsmouth and I'm a big shisha fan. And when I went to one of the only shisha places in Portsmouth, as soon as I had like the first couple of smokes, I'm like, this is fake.
It's dog shit.
Yeah, exactly. And if you know your stuff, like you know your stuff as well, when it comes to coffee, then you'll know if it's something that's not the good stuff. And I said to myself, I need to do something about this because I can't be going to this place and having this shit.
Right.
So I moved. So then I said, okay, what about if I can get my own things? And then I came across the whole concept of getting shisha delivered. I went to Leicester that following weekend. And I spoke to a guy that I knew that I used to get my shisha stuff from. I said to him, I want to do this. He goes, okay. I said, yeah, give me 3 shishas. Let's see how that goes. That Sunday, I went back to Portsmouth with the 3 shishas and a few bits and bobs in my car. I could just put it out on, I think it was Facebook. I don't think it was Instagram at that time. Right. That shows how old it was. And I think the first Friday, 4th of November, I remember it, I had my first shisha delivery. And there was a guy in a flat, and he said, one shisha, dropped it off. I didn't know what I was doing. I really just dropped it off to him. Said, here's the flavor, here's the coal. Yeah, you can light it up. This is how you do it. A month later, I was back at my shisha guy and buying 3 more shisha pipes because it got really big. At one point, we had 25.
And and the thing is, where you were, I think in Portsmouth, it's like a student town, the university.
Exactly. I think that was the big thing. Yeah. So exactly. Yeah. So I had a good kind of my 90% at the time was students, and then about 1 year in, I did my first event, and this was someone had 3 shishas, in one go for an event. When I did that, I was like, okay, this is actually better than going to one place, dropping one shisha, picking it
Right.
up, and so on. I just go
Right.
3 shishas, set it up, do it for the one night, and then take them back again. And then that's when I started to shift my focus more towards events.
But you also were you doing this while you were at a full-time job?
Yeah, yeah. So I would. So the job I was doing at BAE used to finish on a Friday half day.
Yeah.
So then I used to then go for Jummah.
Yeah.
And then after Jummah, go to all these restaurants with my leaflets and posters and stick them up in the takeaways, really grafting it. Yeah. But at one point, the imam at the masjid let me hand them out after Jummah.
Shisha's illegal in Kenya, so I don't think that would happen here at the mosque.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would happen. I don't think it happened now, to be honest, in Leicester or in the UK. But yeah, I was out there, people coming out, and I was handing them shisha leaflets. So, and then there was one guy, actually, a businessman, who saw that. So he said, "Yeah, come to my restaurant," and we discussed about how we can kind of work together as well on that. So, so I think that was what it was really. I mean, there's no kind of, it's not overnight thing. And as you know, like a success thing, it's not overnight. It takes a lot of
time,
months, years of hard work. Yeah. But alhamdulillah, we got there, and when I moved back to Leicester, I made it kind of events only, and we were hired by kind of ITV, which is one of the kind of national TV kind of companies. Had the Royal Navy when I was in Portsmouth, hire us out. So yeah, we.
If you don't mind me asking, how much were you charging per pot and flavors?
So when I first started, it was £10 a shisha, and that was just deliver and pick up as well, and that gives you one pot of flavor.
Yeah.
And a pack of 10 coals. Then when I got a bit more sensible with it, it was £12 for one, or two for 22. So there's two for £22. And then when I went to events, then because it was unlimited flavor that you get on the night, it was £30 plus. And then also I had electric shishas as well. I brought them in because there was people that were asking for shishas, but the event was indoor.
Right.
So that was a bit more like £35 because it was a bit more expensive to get those shishas.
You actually had one event in Wales where you had an assistant from Kenya.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
What were my services like? Rate me out of 10.
Wait. First, I want to know, what was your experience like in that? How did you find that?
To be honest, what surprised me is the Wazungus, as we like to call them, the Welsh people, were so taken aback by the shisha thing. They all came around. It's like they've never seen anything. Whereas in Kenya, it's more of a common thing. In our culture, it's quite common. And I was like, suckers, just milk them. Let's milk them. But it was a good experience. But what I realized is it's hard work, man. You're on your feet the whole time. And you're very social. Like, you'd meet people, you'd talk with them. I was just in the back end. I had no energy at the end of the day. Yeah, so it's tough, man. It's tough. And you're doing everything yourself, right? You're cleaning up, you're doing this. It was a one-man show.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that you have to be when you're doing these events. You have to be social, build that connection. And I guess in your role as a salesman as well, that's kind of what you have to do as well. That rapport you have to build, and then you have to, that personal touch, isn't it? You can't just be a transactional relationship.
Yeah, they see it sort of from a mile away, right?
Exactly, and that's where we had. In fact, there was one person that hired us for wedding. They got back in touch with us 2 years after because it was their sister's wedding, so they hired us again. Amazing. Personal connection. Yeah.
Otherwise, how are things with the JLR right now? I know there've been some changes. There's been a huge push for EVs, and coming from a family of guys who like V8 engines and burning fumes. How's that for you, sir? How are you? How are you handling Jeremy Clarkson? Is he someone you can speak to?
Jerry, no, I've not spoken to him before. But I think it's the way the world's moving, right? With electric vehicles, so you have to, if you stand still, then you're moving backwards.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of. But then I think with JLR, firstly, you ask how it's going. We've just announced our financial year results. Record breaking as well. I think we had £2.5 billion of profit. And
is that bonus? Is that bonus coming in early?
Bonus is coming. Yes, bonus is coming. Yes. Looking forward to that. But I think and last Friday we actually had they gave everyone a day off globally.
Really? Okay, amazing.
In record. So so the culture. I've been there for 12 years, coming to 12 years.
Yeah.
And the culture in JLR has definitely changed for the better.
Is it because of the transition? I know Tata acquired it at some point, so there was also a cultural change over the
2008.
2008. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was the catalyst for the change,
Okay.
but yeah, definitely Tata gave JLR a new lease of life, I'd say.
Hmm.
And where Tata were really good is that they came in with the obviously the financial backing,
Hmm.
where they said that we believe you guys know the engineering, how to do that. So we're not going to kind of tell you how to do the engineering, but we're happy to back you. So they've had their, obviously, it was a risk that you take,
Yeah.
but yeah, they've had the return on that. And
Okay.
I think it's the people as well. I think the focus on the people has been really good
Hmm.
in terms of the culture change. We've got these now, and then one of the things that keeps me at JLR is the Islamic society that we have.
Okay.
So that
Yes.
means that
Yes.
I can do my role, but also not compromise my faith or who I am.
Hmm.
And it means I can be authentic in myself and who I bring to work. So I think that's been really good with JLR. So looking after the people, that's been really good. In terms of the products, as I said, it's kind of the way the world's going. The way that it is though with JLR, it's great. It's not focusing too much on the EV, but more on the brand.
Yeah.
So you buy a Range Rover, and don't worry about the powertrain, whether it's a ICE or electric vehicle. Yeah, I think the thing that people really want to get is the brand,
Right.
the Range Rover, and
So,
that's the focus.
so with you specifically with your role right now, what is it
Yeah.
you do on a day-to-day basis? What's sort of the daily tasks?
Yeah, so I think it's an exciting and a challenging role because it's challenging in that every day is not the same, but that's also exciting.
Yeah.
So my role, as you read out, is a product owner
Okay.
within the automated driving department, which essentially means I lead a team
Hmm.
to deliver something onto the vehicle, which this happens to be automated driving features like your adaptive cruise control, your automated parking,
Hmm.
you've got autonomous braking. So all these features, and my role as a day to day is to work with our partners, some internally, we've got external partners to design, develop, and deploy these features onto the vehicle.
Okay. And if you look at AI and the advent of and push
Yeah,
coming in, I know there was an announcement with Nvidia at some point in time. You guys were
exactly.
doing
So
some.
that when I say yeah, external partners is Nvidia. So that's one of the ones that we work with.
What are you guys doing specifically with them?
So with these automated driving features,
Yeah.
it's very much they are GPU heavy in
Okay.
processing. So we have the NVIDIA chips, but then also you mentioned AI. To get these features working to in a robust way,
Yeah.
you have to have data behind it. You have to
Okay.
have data that's collected, and then you train that data. So that's where NVIDIA come in, and we work with them as well to collect that data.
I mean, I can imagine your data centers and the back end, the server rooms must be
Yeah, yeah,
huge. Just
exactly.
the power
Yeah,
consumption must be through the roof.
yeah.
One other interesting thing is UK is not actually your biggest market, is it now? For JLR, what's the biggest market?
I would say, don't quote me on this. I think UK is one of the biggest,
Okay,
but US is
US.
quite big.
What about
Yeah,
Asia Pacific, India, Southeast Asia?
not
How's that?
India, but China. So China.
China.
So I would say UK/Europe, US, and China are
Okay,
biggest ones.
okay.
Which is why, obviously, the tariffs situation as well was
Hey,
quite
that's
quite
yeah,
impactful
yeah.
for us. But then there has been a deal that they've agreed that the
Right,
UK government agreed with the US
right.
in terms of reducing the amount of tariffs to be charged.
I mean, outside of work, if I want to segue now, there's one of the interesting things about you is again Sungura,
So
constantly on the go, running
yeah.
marathons. You had actually an amazing cycling experience, and you did it as part of a group. And you went all the
Yeah.
way from UK. You said, you know what, let's go to Europe. We decided to go Asia, but the wife was calling. You need to get back home. The kids are here.
That's enough.
So
Yeah,
you're like,
that's
that's
far
enough.
enough. Yeah, yeah,
Tell me
yeah.
about that cycling experience. How many miles was it?
So I've done two cycling experiences. So the first one was we talked about coaching earlier. So when
Yeah,
COVID happened, we could not coach. We couldn't
yeah.
go out and do any of that football coaching. So this group of coaches decided that for one reason or another we're going to cycle from Leicester to London,
Okay, and
which
that's
is about
how many?
130 miles we did in total,
Okay, how
and
long did
in
that
one
take
day.
you? One day.
And yeah, that was one day. So that took us. It should take us. I mean, for experienced riders, they should be able to do that in, let's say, a few hours.
Yeah.
It took us best part of the day. So I think about 11, 12 hours it took us, and that was because at the time I got injured whilst we were doing the cycling.
Okay.
So about 5-10 miles in, I kind of pulled my kind of hamstring, and I was just like cycling pretty much on one leg the whole way. So I would say I don't like cycling. I'll put that out there as well. But I think the thing that keeps me going or keeps me motivated is the charity aspect. So
And
at
is
that
that why
point, we
you were
were
doing it?
raising.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were raising money for a local hospital in Leicester.
Okay.
So I think the whole idea was, it was to raise money. I think we raised about £20,000,
Amazing.
and that was for the neonatal. So we were getting some equipment for that particular unit of the hospital.
Mm-hmm. And then your
And
second leg
Yeah,
was much more intense, if we can put it that way.
yeah. So that one now I got a bit of the cycling bug, as they call it.
Yeah.
So I think 2 years on, 2023, I did. So it wasn't from UK. We flew out from the UK to Holland, so Amsterdam, which I know you know well, Amsterdam. And then from Amsterdam, we cycled
different type of
400.
cycling for me over there.
Yeah, different type. Yeah, so we went from Amsterdam to Copenhagen, which is about 430 miles. So I don't know. You guys work in kilometers. So what's that in kilometers?
That's a shitload of kilometers. That's what that is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And
So we
how long?
So that's 430 miles in 5 days. We did that.
Your ass must have been sore.
It was, yeah.
Like 8 hours of riding,
that,
10 hours of riding, right? And
it was.
Sorry, continue. Yeah. That's the awkwardness of online conversations. Is we're waiting for the data to go back and forth. It's fine. We'll get over it. You were saying?
No, you're right about the soreness. But I think the best thing about it is that you're going as a group,
right?
And people are there supporting you. Like people are punchers. People obviously needed kind of replenishment and everything, but you've got a group of brothers there. Really, the brotherhood there is something that I really gained from that particular trip.
This was Riders of Sham.
Riders of Sham. Yeah.
Tell me more about them. What's their involvement?
Yeah. So Riders of Sham, they've been going since 2012. Okay. That's when they first started, and they were a group of students at De Montfort University in Leicester, and they just did initially a cycle trip from charity ride from Leicester to Cardiff. And I think they did that over 2 days. So that was the first one they did.
Yeah.
And they raised, I think it was £15,000 again for charity. And then over the years, they did progressively harder and harder challenges. So they went Leicester to Paris, for example, and then I think they did Leicester to Amsterdam, and then they decided to start their journey from different cities. So instead of starting from Leicester, they started from Europe.
Okay.
So that's how it developed. So this particular one that we did was probably the biggest one we've done, which was Amsterdam to Copenhagen, and we raised £500,000 for charity.
£500,000?
Yeah.
£500,000?
Yeah.
How many riders were you?
43 riders in that one, and about 7 support staff. Yeah, so about 50 of us in total.
Or was there one guy at the back holding on to like a train, just basically?
That was me. Yeah.
So Zubz, the last time we did this podcast, there was actually a segment called Cheat Codes. Tips, tricks the viewers can utilize to basically make their life much easier. And we sort of coined that expression from the PlayStation video games. And we had actually quite a good discussion. It's just that Kim took the footage. Kim, where did you make it go?
I don't know. Where's Kim?
Kim,
put the footage? I think is he watching it himself?
Kim, come on the camera. Say hi. Yeah. There's Kim. He's over here.
I can't see him.
No, I don't think you'll be able to see him. But when you watch the video, you'll see his face come up. But okay. What I want to dive is into this aspect, this later part of the podcast, is the cheat codes you have. And I know you've worked on a few cheat codes that essentially make your life a lot more easier. Is getting married one of them? Because I keep hearing that in our community.
I don't know if that's a cheat code or not.
Sajid,
I can't say anything on that. Sorry.
Yeah, she might be out there, right? So you want to go first?
Well, I think I hadn't thought about it, but you're right. Actually, getting married it does make you, yeah, look at that. It does make you also reevaluate your priorities in life, Sajid.
Okay, maybe there's blessings this
Yeah.
year. Maybe
Yeah.
Kim will be
Oh,
my best man. But
yeah.
Kim plays piano at the church, so music is sorted out free of charge, man.
Yeah, just make sure he doesn't do the videoing because he'll lose the footage.
Yeah, Zubz is saying we just want to make sure you don't do the video in case it's lost for the wedding.
Come on.
Okay, I'll start. I think this was a tip. If you'll allow me, if I
Yeah,
may
go on.
go for it.
Yeah, you go for it.
One of the apps that I found is sort of a cheat code for me is an app by the name of Opal. I think, Kim, we can put it up over here. I have the paid subscription one, but what it does is it hard blocks social media apps on all your phones and interconnected devices. So if you try and access Instagram via the app, blocked. Hard block. If you try and access it via the web browser, block. Because what I
What's it called
realized,
again?
Opal, Opal.
Opal.
Yeah,
No, I don't.
I'll share with you the link. But what it helped me with was staying focused on certain goals. Because if you have a 9 to 5, for example, you get in around 9:30, 10, you've done a few tasks,
Yeah.
you've sent a few emails, then you're like, let me open up Instagram. And then doom scrolling happens. Now, especially
Yes.
as the podcast page has grown, the Instagram has grown, there are a lot of messages you want to get back to, and it gets extremely distracting. So this, you sort of have a work day where from 9 to 5, it blocks it. And then what I've done is another block I've done is from 10:30 till 5:30 in the morning. So that whole, because sometimes you may be in bed and you're like, let me just watch one reel, and then one reel turns into 1,000
Yes,
reels, and then it just ends up. Next thing you're 3 in the morning, you're awake. You're like, I have to get up in 3 hours. So that's one.
There's that reel, yeah, where they have people come to there and say, "This guy, look at him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a museum, and you're the exhibit." Yeah, yeah,
Going next, exactly. So that
Yeah.
Opal has really, really helped me.
Interesting. Okay, I think that's a good one.
Do you
Is it
have that
free
same?
as well? That one.
I think there's a free version. There's a free alternative.
Yeah.
But that you can't hard block. This one,
okay.
it's crazy. They actually, imagine this. Imagine this. The way the world is. There's an app that you pay to block access to your own phone. That's for me. What I'm thinking is who came up with that business idea? That's a brilliant business idea, man.
Yeah, probably someone that couldn't control themselves, isn't it?
Exactly. We don't need to work at Jaguar Land Rover anymore. We
Exactly,
just get some
yeah.
suckers who can doom scroll. You get 1,000 people a month, 100,000 people. So that's a brilliant business concept, man.
Yeah, no, and I think there's a lot of apps like that as well. One thing that I try to, I mean, I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form, but one thing I try to do is, have you heard of the Eisenhower matrix?
No, what is that?
Yeah, so it's
So complex stuff, man.
complex. No, it's
I'm here talking about Instagram blocking apps, and you all of a sudden level it up. Eisenhower?
Eisenhower. So it's based on a U.S. president, President Eisenhower,
Okay.
who was also I think, he was a general in the military. So you can imagine this guy had a lot of decisions to make, very instant, very like decisions quite quickly, but also that could have a lot of impact in terms
Yeah.
of what he decides. So the way this matrix that he developed is you categorize your tasks into different kind of quadrants or segments. So things that are so important and their kind of urgency as well. So things that you have to do now and that are important, they go in one box. Things that are important but don't need to be done now, they go in another box. Things that are not so important but need to be done now, that's another one. And then things that are not important and don't need to be done, forget them. So essentially what it is you don't want to have too many things that are important and urgent, because that's going to burn you out. So you want to have maybe one or two tasks that you need to do. So for example, let's say your podcast you want to do, so there's some things that are important, urgent, that you need to do to get that podcast made.
Yeah.
But then there's things that are important but not so urgent. So say you've got a guest coming up in 2 weeks' time, so that it's important that you prepare, but then it's not so urgent for right now or today.
Right.
So that's kind of things where I try to see, when I've got a task at work, I try to prioritize what it is that I need to focus my time on, which is those important things, and then whether it's urgent to be done today or the next hour, or to be done in the next day or next
So
week.
you sort of have to I guess it helps in the sense that you visualize and you put things down. So you're actually putting your thoughts in paper and you can categorize them. And then based on that, then you start knocking off tasks.
Yeah, you've got like a to-do list. Everyone has. Well,
Yeah.
I think everyone uses some kind of a to-do list. So it's how you prioritize that list.
Okay.
And as I said, I do get into that whole doom scrolling thing. It happens, but I think it's been recognizing, and then that's when if you're married and you've got kids as well, so you have to know as well that you have to give them your time as well. That those are most
Prioritizing
important. For me, family is most important above everything else. And that's another thing with JLR is they also recognize that. So if you need to take time out for your family, if you've got an appointment, then they support you.
Which is good. Let me.
Yeah.
So regarding the work structure, I think over the years, obviously, you've grown from being within a team to reporting to someone. Now you're in a position where you're managing multiple people.
Yeah.
What has the change been? Have you found it a bit difficult in that transition? And I come from it from this perspective where there are a lot of egos at play. You have to manage a lot of people. Sometimes it takes a lot of mothering. At the same time, you still have your tasks to do because that's what you're hired to do. In addition to that, has it been a bit of a challenge? Has it been a bit of a learning curve?
It's definitely, I don't say it's been difficult. It's been a learning curve. And I think whenever I try to do something, let's say when I went for this promotion or when I did my cycling or anything, you start with why. And there's a guy called Simon Sinek, and he's got this. Maybe you can put a link as well to the video. Is start
Simon
with why.
Sinek, yeah, we'll put a link.
Yeah. So what's the purpose behind what you're doing? And as part of being a manager, you know that you've got. One of the things I want to do was people development because you know you're going to be managing people. So I was actually, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go for this role. And it linked back to what we said at the start as well regarding the coaching, the football coaching. So the way I treat my team is it's a squad, and you can't treat every person in that squad the same way. So you've got each person has their own kind of background, their own way of working, and so on. So I think that's the bit where I've enjoyed actually is getting to know the people, and then you kind of you tailor your style depending on that person.
Right.
It's like when you, again, refer back to the podcast, you're not going to ask the same questions or treat each guest the same way. So that's the same way, and I enjoy it. And I enjoy the team building side of it, the people development, and then you've also got the technical side of it as well that comes in. But my role has become more about, and one thing I've had to learn as a learning curve is the delegation aspect.
Like not to take too much onto yourself.
Yeah, don't try to take everything onto yourself.
Right.
Yeah, and recognizing the strengths in your team and leveraging those strengths to be able to do the role.
I think for me personally, it was a bit of a challenge because for the most part, I was a lone wolf in that sense where I would operate on my own and just had one person reporting above me and I would go and do whatever I need to and sort of try and always be in the spotlight versus now having multiple people under you who also come to the job expecting to be in the spotlight and the limelight and having that assumption that you're there to help them achieve that. So it was a bit of an ego clashing initially where I'm like, no, it's me. But then you realize you have to be a bit French and say we. You know, it's more.
I like that.
It's more pushing everyone and elevating everyone, seeing what they can do and achieve. Because that made me quickly realize, hold on, this particular individual is capable of A, B, C, and D. So I can sort of step back and say, listen, you cover A, B, C, and let me do D. It gives me a bit more time to focus on other opportunities and leveraging all that aspect. So if your team looks better, it's like a football manager, right? The one who places his football team's shirt in the background when the camera goes off. It's they make you look good, right? Because ultimately you want to give them that opportunity. Okay.
Exactly, yeah. And remember, I mean, it's cliche, but there's no I in team.
There's no
There's no I in team.
Team depends on how you spell it, right?
I don't know. How did they spell in Kenya?
TIM. I got you there. I got you there. Well, all right. Okay, that's a good one. So Eisenhower matrix, right?
Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing, well, there's quite a few things I can. There is breaking things down as well.
Right.
Actually, I actually want to go back before I go into that. There's something that came to my mind.
Sure.
What happened to your challenge, your cycling challenge? Because when we discussed last time, you were like, getting ready, geared up, and
Because of
everything.
the surgery, it threw everything off, right? And then
Oh, you
basically the
okay?
aspect of training and
Yeah,
everything just went completely off.
yeah,
To be honest, and then I just sort of didn't go to the gym for the next 3 to 4 months, and that was just messed up. Now it's
you
basically
you're recovered now, yeah. Okay.
to be honest, what happened was I think the lack of going to the gym
Okay.
and just purely focusing on work from a perspective
Yeah,
of mental clarity. It messed me up so much. And just the last 2 weeks, I've tried to clean things up, try to get up, stick to a routine because I was in a very,
yeah,
very difficult place at work with the transition.
yeah,
Basically, we've had some massive changes. And so I had no routine. It was get up, sleep late, get up late, get up early,
yeah,
work. You're doing multiple things. There was no routine. And so what I'm trying to go back to is having a structured routine where, all right, this is the time I get up, this is the time I go to the gym, this is the time I work, this is the time I switch off, purposely switching off, which is one of the challenges that I used to have is I'd take a call at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at night, right? And sometimes
yeah,
I understand it's your job, but then if you make it a routine, people take advantage of that. And that's enabled me to get back to the gym to help me get my mental clarity back and now basically chase all these physical goals. And that's still there. The Mombasa riding thing, it's not brushed under the carpet. It's still very
yeah.
much prevalent. It's still something that I need to do. You know, How-
Yeah, no,
may-
that's good. That's good. That's good that it's still there because what I was going to say then, one of the other things that I have, it's not a cheat code, but it's a way of mindset is
yeah.
when you have a challenge, a lot of people have the, um, because it's sometimes a big challenge. Let's take your cycling, but I won't say you're doing this, but some people put it off because they see it as too big a challenge. And one thing that I try to do as well is when you have a challenge, try to break it down.
Hmm.
And that's when we do this cycling, for example, you try to break it down. Okay, this is what you need to do. This is the training you need to do for it, and this is how it all builds up. So rather than seeing it as a whole big thing, try to break it down into smaller bits. And an example I can give, I've just done it as well. Last May, I've got a Garmin watch that tracks your steps, and I just happened to see that it's 2 million steps I'd done in the previous year,
2 million
which
steps.
yeah, 2 million, which sounds like a big number,
Hmm.
but when I actually thought about it, it's 6,000 steps a day, which
Okay.
I think it's people can do that on average.
Yeah.
So I said that now that I know that this is how much I've done without really thinking about it, I thought let me try to then target 2.5 million steps for the next year.
And that's about
And then
7,000. Huh?
yeah,
7,000.
so I broke it down to about 200,000 a month ish,
Hmm.
and about 7,000 a day. So I've been consciously trying to do that every month, and I've
Right.
actually just seen this morning that I passed that 2.5 million.
Which,
So that
which
was my goal.
again, it's very powerful because 2 million seems like such a big number, but when you break it down
Yeah,
into a
yeah,
very targeted, achievable number, it's 6,000,
yeah,
7,000. And
yeah,
I guess what you're trying to say is those large goals is, all right, Mombasa is 500 kilometers away. Let me start with cycling 10 kilometers, right?
exactly. Yes. Yeah,
Let's get that. It's as though you're joining the UFC and you say you want to win the belt in day one and you've never fought in your life. That's not
yeah,
possible. What you need to do is, all right, win a local show, win a regional show, then go
yeah.
international, and then focus. So everything sort of goes step by step. I like that.
It's a building block. Yeah, I mean, think
Stability.
of a mountain. You've done that. You've climbed it. Which mountain was it you did?
Long on it is. It's not even a mountain.
Yeah.
It's a hill outside. It's a hill on
Well,
the side over there. I
yeah,
personally found it very
but
tough. By the way, for those guys that haven't watched the video, one of my challenges as part of my 2024 YouTube aspect was to climb Mount Longonot, and we did that. So
that's
Kim,
when you had about 7 followers, isn't it?
yeah,
So now you
yeah,
got
yeah.
40,000. You should have a lot more people.
Kim, we'll
Yeah,
link the video over here for the Mount Longonot one, yeah.
course.
And there's a whole story behind it. You know the story about the scouting and
yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah,
We'll leave the
yeah.
surprise for the guys who want to watch that video. Okay.
Definitely recommend everyone to watch that video. But again, that hill or the mountain, whatever, it starts with the first. You have a first step,
Yeah.
and so each step is a building block to reaching the top.
Correct. Okay. That's a good one. Which other one do you have? I'm
The other one I have, and again linked to what you were saying before about how you've had this transition at work and you've had a lot of things happening and so on. So one of the best books I've ever read is something called Seven Habits of Highly Effective or Highly Successful People. I should know the the name, but it's Seven Habits of Highly Successful People.
Okay.
And one of the habits that they have in there is first things first. So this is where, again, talking about prioritization, but in a different way. What it talks about in the book is visualize an empty jar, and that's like that's actually your day ahead, for example. And then if you fill it with rocks, so these are things that you must do in that day, you fill it in, and then you put sand. So the sand is the things, the waste of time, or things that fit around it. So if you put those rocks first, then the sand goes around it. But if you put the sand first, then you can't fit those rocks.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So let's say, for example, you got to go to work and you have a meeting. That's your rock. So you have to do that. So you have to prioritize that. And then everything else around it, you can just kind of fit
in. Yeah. So you pick, again, it's an aspect of picking what's important.
Correct. Yeah.
The primary goals and then the secondary goals, and then balancing out that. Do you ever find yourself getting overwhelmed with responsibilities at home, responsibilities at work as you scale up in the corporate ladder? Do you have any time for yourself? Do you take dedicated time offs? Is that something that you plan?
I mean, you can get overwhelmed, and I certainly can sometimes as well. But I think,
especially when Liverpool sucks, right? I mean, what do you do?
Well, that's not happened in a long time, so that's not.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was saying, no. If you can talk about Liverpool, the champions of England, and that we can spend the whole podcast talking about the greatest team in the world, but I don't think you want to do that, do you?
There was, I think the last time I remember Liverpool sucking was, to be fair, it was like FIFA 2004, right?
There you go. Yeah, sorry.
Well,
I grew up here. Talk about kind of growing up and everything. Yeah, Liverpool were not great when I was growing up, and I used to get a lot of kind of abuse and insults and everything. And now Liverpool are great. I can give all that back. So it's a good time to be a Liverpool fan.
I was surprised because I had Saddam, who is we did a Midnight Run episode with him. He's a big Man U fan, and he mentioned that.
I know.
I was like, FIFA was saying something else a few years ago, man. What the hell happened?
Exactly.
And he's still a hardcore Manchester United. So you actually saw Mo Salah, right?
Just ask him, Saddam. How did they get on in the Maybank Cup in Malaysia? I think they were in Malaysia. They played some misfits and they lost. So.
No way. Man, you lost.
Yeah.
Really?
Against some South Asian. I think they assembled these players the day before or something.
Against who? Which team was this?
It's some South Asian All-Stars.
Okay, 1 second. I'm going to try and find that on the internet. Well, to be fair, you've seen Shaolin Soccer, right?
So, I think that's exactly how it was.
So, you can just imagine they faced that particular crew on that day, so you can't blame them, right?
You can't blame them. Yeah, they probably got scared. Yeah, but coming back, what were we talking about?
We were talking about how you take dedicated time off, basically.
Yeah. So this is important, and I think it's now recognizing as well. That's one thing I've come to recognize is when you're feeling that getting overwhelmed. And I think breathing is something that you can do, like these kind of meditation stuff, and it actually works.
Okay.
But then, like last week, I mentioned that we had this day off that was given globally. So it's easy just to try to get things off your to-do list that you have to do and everything.
Right.
But what we decided to do was go with the wife and little one, and we went for brunch. And that was kind of taking that time out. And you try to be present as well in that time. So.
What do you normally eat at brunch? What are you? Are you an eggs Benedict guy? Are you?
I'm an eggs guy. Yeah. Definitely eggs. Yeah. Eggs
no
and my cappuccino.
No pancakes.
No. My wife makes the best pancakes, so I don't need to go out for that.
You know, the ideal breakfast scenario for me is me being in America, walking into a diner at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And just having that American-sized breakfast with pancakes, sausages, hash brown. Is bacon halal? This for the writers of Sham, yeah?
Yeah,
Halal bacon. Halal bacon.
yeah, yeah, you do get halal bacon. Actually, it's funny enough, you do get.
You do?
But I think,
In Tesco
yeah,
or Asda?
there is. They say no, in these Islamic cafes. I say Islamic. What am I saying Islamic for?
The
They're
Islamic
just normal
cafes.
cafes. I don't know why I said that as well. There's normal cafes, yeah, but this happened. They sell halal stuff.
What's that? Well, the sheikh called the guy in Malaysia. Brother gave an order for halal bacon.
I know this one.
Zakir Naik, Zakir Naik.
Zakir Naik, yeah, that's
Zakir
it. Yeah,
Naik,
which
yeah.
I
I can imagine him. Brother ordered cappuccino. Two shot espresso, double brother order cappuccino. I can imagine that.
yeah.
Okay, so you do take dedicated time off, then just for yourself.
I think it's important, yeah, and yeah, for myself as well. And again, it's good to have some support with that as well. So let's say the cycling, or I like to run as well. Running is a good thing.
Can we talk about the training specifically for the cycling? How did you sort of start off? Because you had never really done it before. And to go to the extent of cycling 500 plus miles over 7 days, what was the prep work like initially?
I think the first, I think training is very important. Let's put that, because I think you want to do the training so that when it comes to the event, you enjoy it. And that's one thing. Probably when I did the first cycle ride, and I mentioned I got injured during it, probably the training I didn't do as much as I should have. And it was very much kind of like doing a few miles here and there, but never did like 100 miles in one day
Okay.
as a training. So when it came to the second time doing it, I took it a lot more serious.
Right.
And in that then was going out, and we knew that as part of this 430 miles, 2 of the days we're going to be doing 100 miles back to back. So what we did as part of the training is do long distance. And that helped then to get us ready for this big journey.
What about your nutrition? How was that?
Rubbish.
You're just burning through all the calories, right?
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Yeah, you do. So it's very important that I got into using gels.
Yeah.
And then you use electrolytes. So in your water, you put these electrolyte tablets as well. So this is kind of keeping you hydrated. And then you also take these nutrition bars with you as well. So with cycling, you have these jerseys. You can fit loads of things in the pockets.
Okay.
So again, you get to learn this as well. But when you're doing this cycle ride, you have support staff. So they were there making us food. Great people, like amazing how much they can do that. And then you have from Costco, we bought these waffles as well. That come in a packet.
Right.
They're amazing. So I used to have them as well with me all the time.
You know, one of the things I miss about the UK is just the convenience of the commodities. Because if you walk into an Asda or Tesco, the amount of protein options, low fat, paleo, keto products, it's just you get extremely spoiled for choice. And within reason, especially with the price. I remember when back when I was in Wales, 25 quid, which at that time was maybe 5,000 shillings, would basically get me like 2-3 weeks of supplies. And you're talking whole wheat pasta, you're talking potatoes, rice, protein options, eggs, and everything I needed from a bodybuilding perspective and a diet. It was quite friendly, but now what I've heard is UK is really going through the roof in terms of pricing, man.
Yeah, I was about to say, inflation has pushed things up quite a lot.
My Tesco 5 a days, I won't get them anymore.
You won't get that anymore.
No, not for 5 quid.
Probably get 3. Probably cost you like 10 quid, the same thing.
So are you a Tesco guy or you Asda guy? Don't say Marks and Spencer. Or you Marks and Spencer. What was the other bougie one called?
Waitrose.
Waitrose.
Yeah, Waitrose.
It's a little rich for my blood, the Mayman blood.
No, we go to Asda.
Oh, what's that street called? The one in Leicester, where all the Indian shops are.
Melton Road.
That's the one.
Oh,
that's where you.
Road,
that's where you go for your chevra and your poppadoms and your
exactly,
and your vegan-free whey protein.
But no, I think definitely nutrition and training is very, very important when you're doing anything like this as well. And I'm not bringing it up because I've just done it, but it's relevant to the topic. But I did a marathon many moons ago, and I was young and stupid at the time, and I didn't take training seriously at all with that. So when I was training, I just did. Yeah, I did up to about 20 miles, and they recommend to do 26 miles is the full marathon, so 40 kilometers is the full kind of marathon distance. I never did that, so when I did the actual marathon, when I got to 20 miles, surprise, surprise, I kind of hit the wall,
Like
and
your
I
body
had to
just
kind
gave
of
up.
walk. Body just gave up, yeah. So then I had to kind of pick myself up. They had Kajur dates on the every 5 kilometers. They had these things to give out, and they were giving out dates at one of them, and I started having that, and that kind of helped me start walking slightly, like brisk walk, jogging a bit as well. So
Yeah, by
that
the way,
got me over
dates
the line.
dates are superfood, eh?
Very good, yeah, they are very good.
Like the benefits you get from them.
Yeah.
Specifically, I think they're called ajwa dates.
Yeah.
They're from Saudi, right?
Yeah,
But
Udra are nice. Majul as well, are kind of bigger ones,
they're,
and I take them with me on cycle rides.
are Medjool the ones that are covered in chocolate?
No, those are, I don't know what they're called.
Those are Cadbury.
Cadbury, Cadbury dates.
Cadbury ajwa dates. Yeah, but those are banging, bro. The chocolate coated ones and the strawberry coated ones.
I like the ones with badam inside them. I don't know how they get them inside, but I like the ones that have
What's badam?
almonds.
What's badam called in English?
Almonds.
Almonds.
Yeah.
Yes. The salted almonds, right? And they're coated with dates, and then like white chocolate on top. So you can imagine.
I'm starting to drool. I think.
You can imagine the people from long ago saying, in Islam we open with dates, and here's Sajid and Zubair
with your white chocolate coated dates.
During Ramadan, you're sitting in a mosque next to an old guy who's eating a traditional date, and you've removed this. It's got 5 layers of chocolate. It's not even a date anymore. And the date is that small. And the guy's looking at you like, what's this guy doing? This is not Islamic. And you're there opening the fast with chocolate dates.
And then you show him an Instagram reel of it, and then you got this ad blocker.
It's like that aspect where a guy goes and he's like, can I get a extra cheese double beef patty burger with fries and cheese, and can I get hash browns, and can I get another double burger, and can I get a fish burger, but can I have a diet Coke because I'm watching what I eat? It's that same aspect. So another cheat code, Zubz. I think I seem to be blocking on cheat codes.
Blocking.
Well, block is there's nothing coming through.
Oh, kind of writer's block like that.
Writer's block. There was the 1, 2, 3 method which I talked about on our first podcast, and I did it on the cheat codes 101.
Yes, actually, do you know what? I've used it since you said, because that's the 1, 2, 3. You just do something, isn't it?
To be honest, when the methodology sort of goes where if you ever feel like you don't have the energy to do something, what you do is you just count 1, 2, 3. And at 3, don't think. Get up and just go and do the task. Force yourself into that rhythm of doing it. And practice daily of doing tasks that you don't want to do just by counting 1, 2, 3 and going off and doing it. That's a cheat code that's really helped me.
You said to me last time, and I've used that as well. I think I did it when you asked me for this podcast. I said 1, 2, 3. Let's
go for it. This horrible guy from Kenya.
Yeah, exactly.
And his shitty ass podcast of it. Leave me alone.
There you go. You got 14,000 subscribers now. Is it 14,000?
Alhamdulillah, with God's grace, we're growing, bro.
Amazing.
We're growing.
Well done. But I think linked to that 1, 2, 3, there's something else. There's have you heard of the phrase "eat your frog in the morning"?
To be honest, I've never really been a frog kind of guy at breakfast. But
no, it's not an actual frog. It's more if you've got like a difficult task that you're putting off. Yeah, say at work you got something you just can't.
A frog is an impossible task. I'll tell you that. You should have just gone with. I'm sorry, I'm just teasing.
Say you got that email, that you just can't get around to reply. You just can't be asked to reply to it.
Yeah,
do it first thing in the morning. Get it out of the way.
Right. So this is eat your frog for breakfast. What was it?
Well, eat your frog in the morning.
Okay, so basically,
first thing,
do the worst thing.
I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Which exactly.
Okay. Which actually is true, because normally your brain is wired for creative processes at certain times during the day.
Yes.
And very tough task. So immediately when you get up, half an hour in, your body is still booting up systems. So that's when you meditate, you work out, you get things spiked up, and that momentum then which is now descending onwards from there, is when you used to do these very complicated tasks.
Yes.
And your most difficult meetings, the ones that require your thought process to be 10 out of 10, place that immediately in the morning, get them out of the way, and then do stuff that does not require that much horsepower from your brain towards the end of the day. I agree.
Yeah, that's a good
one.
point. Find what's your kind of your peak. Everyone has like a peak time that they, and sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, or after lunch after you have some food or something. So I think definitely find that peak time and try to get things done. Maximize that time.
Do you take any supplementation to focus? Have you found like this, like the ashwagandhas and the B complexes to reduce stress and help focus?
No, not touch any of them. One thing I do try to have is multivitamins. So I just have that as well.
Sorry.
But I think that's just to do it. I think maybe to old age or something to have them, because we're not getting the same vitamins. But in the UK, we don't get sun, as you know, as well. So you have to have your vitamin
Ds. On the initial podcast, we talked about magnesium and zinc. Did you start that?
No, I didn't. I did not start that now. But then I remember we discussed it.
Start that, brother. Like the rest you get after that.
Sorry, bro.
I swear to God, the rest you get from that, the REM cycle, the deep sleep, you will get extremely vivid dreams. If you're in a comfortable environment, you'll be okay. But that's something I'd recommend anyone to take. It just helps get. So if your sleep supply, that's correct. Yeah. If your sleep supply is limited, and you want to maximize the most and get in the deepest sleep, magnesium and zinc gets you there faster. That's what I found. And it also helps with, there's additional benefits as well to it.
Yeah, so at the moment I've got a 4-year-old and a 3-month-old. So I think definitely that would help me.
Yeah. How is it like with the 4-year-old?
It's interesting. He's going through a new phase where he's getting a lot more cheekier with things. I'll give you an example. The other day when I put him to sleep, I said, I'll see you in the morning. And he goes, I'll see you at night. Because he knew he's going to come into our room at night,
Yeah, so he fully communicates now with you.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Okay.
So he's got these little kind of cheeky things. Some things that he comes out with as well. So it's really cute. But sometimes also a bit kind of scary as well. Always going to say.
And he's just started school, right?
Yes, yeah. So in England or UK, they go to foundation at the age of 4, and then 5 is when they go into first year of primary.
So that's what do you call it? It's like Montessori.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. The Montessori is more that nursery.
Nursery.
Yeah. So he's finished nursery. He's doing foundation. Yeah.
Okay.
And then he goes into year 1.
Okay. So it's in Kenya. What do we have, Kim? We have before class 1. We have PP1, PP2, all at Garcia. Yeah.
PP1, PP2, PP3.
Okay. Yes. So he's probably in PP1 right now.
He's doing all the Garcia now. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Sorry.
They call it baby class.
Baby class. They call it baby class.
Yes.
Yeah, he's in baby class.
He's in baby class. And what about the 3-month-old? How is that?
She's not in school as yet.
She's not.
No,
too young, yeah.
Too young.
Okay, so
she's just discovered she's got a hand, so she looks at her hand at the moment.
But does she have the very loud baby energy, the calm baby energy?
No, she's calm. So compared to my son when he was a similar age, she's a lot more calm. And I've heard this in theory that boys are really active, when they're young, then they get calmer as they grow older, and the girls are opposite.
So very calm, very sukoon, very peaceful.
Very cool. Yes.
So my mom used to say about me as a kid, like I would just eat anything and I would just sleep. My sister, on the other hand,
what's changed?
Nice one. My sister, on the other hand, she never eats, fuss, cry, and basically there's a bit of change over there. Or is maybe not. I mean, that's a completely different podcast, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How's Fahad? What was he like?
Fahad, I'd say he was quite an innocent baby boy. He was, I think, the cutest baby I've ever seen. Yeah, big ass forehead. For those of you guys that know Fahad, he's an esports gamer. Just go and check out his baby pictures. But he was very calm. He was a very peaceful kid compared to me, who was a dipshit and very loud and very expensive to love. He was completely. Let's say the angel and then whatever
Yeah.
this guy turned out to be, Shaitani / podcaster.
Yeah.
Right, Zubz, give me another cheat code,
Yeah.
man. Give me another cheat code.
There's one that you said last time, which I use as well, and it's where if you go into like a restaurant or something, you learn the waiter's name or something.
Yes.
Or when you go to, like, say, if you check into a hotel room, you learn the person, what they call bellboy, or
Yes,
the porter's name.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. Especially when you're from a smaller city, where there are few spots where a lot of people frequent, and you
Yeah.
frequent regularly, and you know the people who run the place. It's always polite to remember their name, tip extremely
Yes.
well, because the service that you get, it's first of all for the people around you, they'll be like, with a heavy hitter, he's very well known, everyone knows him, but that pays a lot of dividends. Just the other thing is, in addition to that,
And just on the tipping side, I think that's a big thing in Kenya, isn't it? To tip. So it's kind of seen as that expected thing where, okay, but in the UK, it's not, usually they have like a service charge that's included in the whole in the bill. So if you tip, is actually, like when I tip, it's like, yeah, you're giving like very good service. But I definitely like to learn the names of the people as well.
True. But you see, the thing is, tipping culture also can be received very negatively. And it was a bit of a shock to me. So there are these restaurants on the side of the road, they call them kibandas, which is like basically, you've seen the manyata type, well, not manyata, you've seen the restaurants on the side of the road where the mamas are cooking and everything. So they normally refer to them as kibandaskis, where you can go and you buy lunch. Now, at the time when we had started our Karen offices, there wasn't really a kitchen or anything. So as a team, we used to go and eat at the kibanda. And so within 50 bob, you get chapati and you get dengu. And so one day I ended up just tipping the mama boga like 500 bob, just like, thank you so much. And this guy pulled me aside. He's like, don't do that. You'll spoil it for the rest of us. Yeah, because she'll expect that from us now. I was like, fuck you, man. I mean, I'm giving what I want to give. If you don't want to give, you don't need to give. There's no expectation. But it was seen as like, you're spoiling it for us. She'll raise the prices for us. So there's also that's fine line. You never think about that, right? But it's again, different cultures as well. I was thinking it as a hit to my personalities. Like, I want to give for the sake of, not for me, but for the greater good. And they're like, no, you have to think about what it does to us. You can't go and tip so much over here. They'll know that the expectations will be changed. And I was like, Jesus Christ, okay. I
remember when I was in Kenya, they keep asking for chai. And at first, I was like, yeah, sorry, you can go to a coffee place there, yeah. But then I realized what they were asking.
I think the cop was a bit surprised when you brought him tea.
He asked for chai.
You look at me, he's like, this Muindi is not from Kenya, is he? It's in Kenya when they ask for chai, it's basically,
I got that afterwards.
I'm not talking about sugar or something. Yeah. So you learned the hard way what chai is basically.
I was in jail. I didn't go to jail.
In UK, do people ask for chai? In your experience, civil servants?
That's what was new to me. No, it doesn't happen like that.
Really, even cappuccino, they don't ask for.
They ask for espresso.
Quick hits of something, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, in terms of remembering the name, one other thing that I would encourage people to do, it's not really a cheat code, but just something that says a lot about who you are as a person, is whenever someone comes to greet you, stand up and greet them.
Yes.
That's a form of respect. Whenever a lady walks into the room, get up. And I've noticed this especially within the younger generation. I'll give you an example. I went for dinner recently with Eric, who runs Every Other Time with Eric, the podcast. And sitting next to him was his videographer. Kim was sitting over there, and a few other guys. So when I came, Eric was the only one that got up and greeted me. The rest just sat down, right? And when another guest came in, Eric and I stood up as well to greet that person. But no one else did. You get what I mean?
It's respect, isn't it?
It's respect. And it's not about a culture thing. We went to a school that was run by Catholics. It was embedded in us that whenever the teacher comes in, you get up, let the teacher sit down, and then the students sit down. So we sort of imbued. And that also it pays a lot of dividends. It's a very gentlemanly thing to do. Open the door for the lady, stand up, greet someone, look them in the eye, shake their hands. But
Yeah. It links into something actually I'm doing at JLR. Actually, it's got a campaign where we're
yeah,
trying to get people to ask people what's your name, essentially. And what we found is that people, because we've got a very diverse company, people from all over the world, and sometimes people would like ignore somebody, or because they couldn't pronounce their name, they would try not to say anything to that person, or do you get what I mean? There was, or that they would mispronounce it, and what we're trying to encourage is to say, to ask or make the effort to say, how do I pronounce your name? Or I'm not quite sure. Is this what it is? Or make
yeah.
that kind of that first go at it. And I've never known anyone to get offended if you ask them, how do you say your name?
Pronounce your name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a similar way in terms of you're saying about getting up to greet somebody. It's that respect as well that's shown, and you can imagine the benefits that will bring you because you've kind of broken the ice a bit, or you've tried to make an effort by
Yes.
getting up or saying somebody's name, so that person, if you not need them, but if you want to kind of approach them in future, they will remember you that, and they maybe be more open to helping you out.
Like, dude, I remember Dad whenever we'd go for events, and you've been to Mayman weddings, yeah, where
Yes.
usually the men are on one side and the ladies on the other side, but the men's section have hundreds of people, mzes, that are your uncles or you're related to them,
Yeah.
or just there's a whole hierarchy of people. And he would say, go greet everyone. So I remember once.
Yes.
So imagine like there's a row of seats like this, and then they come like this, and there must have been like 50 people seated over there. He's like, go greet everyone. So I'm like, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. But he made me do that, to go around and greet all the elders. Till one guy, one mzee, he put 500 bob in my pocket. He's like, no other kid did that. That's respect.
Wow.
Every single fucking wedding I was reading. Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. And some it'd be intentionally, way are you reaching? Are you giving me something? So,
and now you take your card reader with you as well.
yeah, exactly. Like Assalamu alaikum, ding. Thank you, sir, for £10. And yeah. So that's a cheat code. Maybe if you greet everyone, someone will give you money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, I think it's definitely a sign of respect, and yeah, I think this is one thing as well. Like our fathers, they did things at the time we didn't really understand why, but then when as you grow older, or something, you look back and think, okay, that's why. Yeah, that's what happened. Something that my dad used to say to me as well is, impossible is actually, if you look at the word, is I am possible. I think that's something that's been instilled in me.
Yes.
Also, the charity aspect as well. So I talked about before about doing charity. My dad used to take us out to do these charity kind of collections, and that kind of instilled that. One of the quotes one of my favorite quotes is from Muhammad Ali, and it says that the rent that you pay for your place here on earth is a service you give to others.
That's nice. That's deep. I like that.
And I think that's something I try to live by, is that obviously we're very privileged, let's say, in terms of what we have and the upbringing that we had, the things that we had access to. And the way and at the start of the podcast, I said about doing the coaching and other things I try to do as well is, I'm being sound like a bit of a rabbit, isn't it? Going between different things. But the other thing I do as well is a STEM ambassador as well. This is where I'm trying to encourage the future generation to do topics or subjects like engineering, maths, science, and so on. So I'm trying to give what I can, a little bit that I can back to
giving back,
the
right?
next generation, and leave a bit of a legacy in there as well.
No, I like that, Zubz. Actually, I'm gonna try and probably make a reel out of that. That's pretty solid. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, maybe that just popped up in my head, was the aspect of charity. I think in Islam there's a certain percentage you have to give. Is it of your monthly earnings or of your yearly earnings? Sadaqah, right?
Yeah, it's zakat. So sadaqah is more kind of voluntary. Zakat is compulsory on everyone, 2.5% of your wealth. So normally, the way that they recommend to do it is you pick a date. So usually I tried it just before Ramadan. So you say kind of all the assets and the wealth that you have, 2.5% of that you give as charity. And you remember that is compulsory. So you shouldn't, the way I don't think of it as that you're doing a good deed there. It's something that you have to do, because that's how you keep the society going, because you're giving back, you're helping people.
Yeah.
If it's going through any kind of financial hardship.
Yeah. Again, maybe this is not your domain, but when we say 2.5%, let's say I have assets that are all real estate and they're not liquid. So does that mean 2.5% of the valuation of whatever those are? Or is it
again,
liquid cash? Is it savings?
I think it's more liquid cash.
Okay.
So the way
Bitcoin.
So, for example, but yeah, there is actually a whole thing on Bitcoin. So one thing, so not an expert in it, but one thing that you can look at, and this big thing in the UK, is the National Zakat Foundation, NZF. So on there, they have loads of guides to say. So you can calculate with your 10 properties that you have, you can calculate how much zakat you have to give from that.
Yeah. The other business. Sorry, this just. I was just so sorry to segue from the zakat. There's another business that you and your wife run called Wick and Wonder.
Yeah, that's it's funny enough, when I kind of finished the shisha side of things.
Yeah.
This is kind of starting up, and this is again my wife, your sister. It feels weird saying my wife is. Sorry.
Yeah, your wife is calling me right now saying, "Can you guys finish the podcast?"
Is that what she's saying?
Yeah, I'm getting a call. I'm getting a call.
I've just seen it.
Yeah. Sorry. So tell me about the business, the Wick and Wonder aspect, because that was something I found interesting. It's wax melt, right? And that's an innovative. It's a business idea that I would have thought of. Yeah. Sorry. Before we got cut off, we were talking about segueing from the shisha business into wax melts, which is quite an interesting field. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So that's more my wife's interest. So the shisha business, I knew I wanted it to come to an end, because to do events you have to go out there, and obviously with a family and so on, it is not practical to do it. So obviously my wife used to buy the wax melts from others, and the one thing that she did not like with them is that they were very bland, in that they were always the same kind of the white color wax melts and so on, and she wasn't very big fan of the scent as well. It wasn't exactly what she wanted. So so again, instead of kind of like moaning about it or kind of complaining, she said, let's try to do something about it. And then she said, yeah, let's try to make our own. Well, she said I can make them myself. She looked in online how you can actually make them, what ingredients you need and so on. And then she made the first batch. I remember we gave it to, so this was about 2 years ago, and we had family around for Eid, and we gave some samples to them, and then the feedback was really positive. So that gave us kind of the encouragement to actually take it on as a business. And what I did say to her is that, don't worry if it doesn't work out. I think it's just trying as well. And even if it doesn't work out, because I think most businesses fail, like any new business fails in their first year, because I think a lot of people maybe just give up. And I said to her, just try it, and at least then you've got the experience of how it is. Because when you're running a business, and I remember I had this when I was running Cheese Express, it's not just about the product. You've got to think about the stuff that goes with it, the finances, the marketing around it, and everything. So it's not just about the one thing. It's building your skills as well in terms of in life.
Yeah.
So that's how it went. So we did our first 4 cents, and we got the good feedback. And over time we've evolved as well. So we've brought out these gift boxes as well. So instead of just selling the wax melts, so wax melts are ones where you can just put onto a burner and you can light it up, and it releases
exactly.
fragrance.
And then you get a good scent.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fragrance. So
exactly. They're really good, different to candle, where you got the wick and everything, and the wax kind of drops down. So I think the wax melts are very handy in that sense.
Yeah.
And then you've got the different fragrances as well that she makes, and I think we started with 3 or 4. Now she's got, I think, 20 plus different fragrances, and then you can also get them as a gift box as well. So you can gift somebody a variety of them. You get like a chocolate box with different flavors in them. So that's something you can do as well. She does cones as well, with cones. So these are more kind of instant ones that you just light up, you fire up, and then they go. So I think I've seen involvement as well in herself, but also the business as well in the last 2 years.
I think what we'll do is we'll link Wick and Wonder in the description. Kim can put up the candles over here. For those
do
guys
international delivery. I don't know how it works. Yeah.
Actually, no. So what the plan for me is obviously to have products internationally to sell. Let's say eventually get a CoffeePump branded coffee. Have a distribution base in the UK. But for shipping to Kenya, there are various different entities like Keybay, Shop USA UK. So what people do is you order and you deliver to their warehouse, and then basically they ship every 2 weeks, and then they bring their goods over here. So it's much cheaper than going through the DHL route. So if anyone's interested, we can actually link those companies. And I'm not affiliated with them, but it's just what I do when I shop.
Yeah.
But just speaking of the Weekend Wonder, in fact, I spoke to your wife about this, is that a good way to scale is leveraging other people's exposure. And so what I mean by that is, what's in it for them? So for example, I have Weekend Wonder, and I've got different scented candles. I approach a influencer, let's say hypothetically a male influencer, and tell him, look, what's your favorite color? What do you like? He's like, I like orange fusion. It's like, fantastic. We'll make an orange fusion candle wax, and we'll do profit sharing. So you own the product. For every product that you sell, we'll give you 20-30%. Right? So what happens is it incentivizes them rather than a one-off thing.
Yes.
Because it's recurring revenue on their end. So let's say it'll be the Kobe Bryant orange fusion candle melt. Right? And so for every percentage sold, that person gets a cut. And so what I was suggesting to is look at the top people that you're interested in and tell them, let's create a specific Weekend Wonder product for you.
Thanks for that tip.
Then we go to market.
Yeah, but if we've looked into that as well, and something that we have in the works, I think that old model that was you give an influencer something for free, and then I think that used to work, but it doesn't work anymore. But you're right, yeah. I think
profit sharing. Because I have skin in the game now, right? Yeah. Because the more I put in effort, the more I make money.
Yeah.
Right. And so what happens is you sort of have to get the ego aside from you that I'll lose revenue on this, but guess what? You'll get exposure.
Yeah.
That one product, you can take a hit on it, but then the rest of your line gets benefit and you keep the markups. Exactly. That's always, I think that's always a great way to sort of scale. And that's what the Gymshark guys have done using discount codes and athlete codes. I think you guys it's ripe for the taking, man.
Yeah. No, if somebody,
it's an interesting business proposition as well. Yeah.
We'd be interested to do, some products in partnership with you as well. That'd be nice.
Any plans for Kenya? Anytime you're coming down soon?
So I'm hoping summer. Inshallah.
Okay.
So
summer starts for you in June, July.
Yeah, June, July. Well, it'll be more July.
If you can delay it till August, September, possibly mid-August, we're having a Coffee Pump and Every Other Time live event at Connect Coffee's new branch. So we're going to do a live podcast session. We're going to sell about 100 tickets, do a Q&A, film the whole thing. If you're there, then people can...
Mid-August,
And then actually, we can get Weekend Wonder products for people to buy and test out over there as well.
That's not a bad idea, actually. Yeah, so we can do that. Yeah,
in Kenya. I'll keep you posted on the details.
Yeah. One thing I'm looking at... So I like to run as well. That's something I've got into as well, more than cycling. And they've got... We run Nairobi, yeah. So I'm looking forward to coming that. So got that to look forward to, obviously seeing the family, but then also this Coffee Pump live. That'd be quite amazing.
That's actually quite amazing. So because you're a runner and you're based in UK and you found a run club in Kenya. They're called We Run Kenya.
It's actually Fahad that found it for me.
What's it called?
We Run Nairobi.
How was your experience with it?
Amazing. I mean, what they have there is obviously all free, unless I think now they've started to venture out to other venues. But then the ones I think just in Westlands, I think opposite you. It's called the Jaguar Land Rover showroom. I think that's one of the meet points.
Yeah. It's at Delta Towers. Yeah,
Delta Towers. Exactly. That's the one. Yeah, and they basically just turn up, and then they've got different routes marked, like 5 kilometers, 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers, and you just go on the run. You come back, and then you can stay back for social as well.
It's amazing. I think these run clubs are going to encourage people to sort of meet, and that's true. They've got the beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
Exactly. And I was surprised because Kenya being such a kind of running country and win so many medals in running, this was like the only run club that was there. I thought there'd be a lot more, but I'm glad I found this one.
It's a concept. I don't quote me, but I think there are a few more run clubs that have started up. Zubz, again, thank you so much for taking the time to come.
No, thank you for having me on. It's been quite good talking to you and being your first international guest. Been honored. Thank you.
Exactly, first online guest, man.
Yeah.
I think what we'll do is we'll probably call this Cheat Codes 102, but put it as episode 43 or 40. Oh, sorry. I think 44. We'll figure it out. Cheat code, because the cheat codes aspect, I want to keep it alive, and we'll just be. So cheat codes 103 will be episode 43, and then maybe we'll do the cheat codes in the future with you when you're here in Nairobi in person. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you taking the time, brother.
No worries.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Yes.